Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So it's been a little while. This was my last thing on this channel. It was 11 days ago. It was a little community post about low moderate risk going on in all these states. There's a high risk 13 days ago and another post I made. And I've been kind of updating on the community post for a little bit just because I haven't really had any chance to make videos. But I will say I am back. I just graduated on Friday. So this is kind of a little update if you want to skip this little portion. But I am graduated and now I will be able to put much more focus into this channel. So I am, as I would say, I'm back, but not really. Just on this brief little break, I am back now. All my AP tests are done and we're good for weather again. So at the moment, I can't really go too crazy in this video just because our models are just out of reach of what I want to look at. But what I'm looking at really is going to be Tuesday's risk for a little bit, just because that's something I want to actually go out and chase if I can. I'm not very well versed in storm chasing, so any chance I get to do so is something I want to pursue. And at the moment, this is a pretty good chance. I live here in Northern Illinois, so we should be able to see a lot of this stuff if we can really come to fruition. Without further ado, I'm going to get into this video now. So right now, Tuesday, it's on this day 3. The SBC hasn't really put much out for this, and this is a fairly old outlook. I think the next update is it's gonna be overnight, so nothing quite now, but essentially they just have a 30% probabilistic enhanced risk. This has been out for a little bit. There was a day 4 enhanced risk over this relative vicinity as well. Our main risk is going to be a surface low moving through. By the way, right now we also have kind of a derecho-esque setup, our wind setup here for the Kansas and Oklahoma region, but I'm not going to look into that because this is going to be outdated very soon. I believe the risk at this point is already dying down. Day 2 is kind of our preliminary event, right? We have a very broad 2% region with a little bit of, a few specific wind areas. Probably the same wind risk, very similar to today's risk. Just same thing here. And then hail here for these states out here in the Great Plains. And also a little wind area here near the Chicago Metro. So that's also interesting. I'm gonna look at that right now. I'm gonna look at the RAT model, surface lows. This is actually what I was looking at earlier, but I'll go into this later just because right now it's not what I want to see. First, I'll look at the contiguous US, all the lower 48 here. That's our main pattern here. So right now we have our polar jet stream that is through all these colors, moving through like this. You can see our kind of subtropical jet down here. What's kind of going on right now is we have these two they're kind of meeting together, kind of converging like so. This is going to be Monday's setup for Great Plains. You can kind of see how these just kind of they converge. Then we get our trough ejection for the more significant Tuesday. So that's why we're seeing a much better severe weather outlook. Or not better, but in our case, it's more possible because you have these two jet streams that have strong flow. They're going to meet together and with this big old trough, basically very amplified over the entire U.S. That's going to move east. You can see it's negatively tilted here. The little contour lines right here, right over the Iowa vicinity, that Wisconsin exit region, even the Illinois exit region right here as well. So all of this enhanced risk is very lined up with this trough. It's negatively tilted as well, so you can see our surface low. Our center of flow is probably somewhere around here at the 500 millibar level. At the surface, we're seeing it a little more over. So it's as you look into the atmosphere, right? Kind of imagine the low pressure is stacked like this. So I've seen this on my favorite channel to watch, Convective Chronicles. He shows something very similar to this. You're looking at the atmosphere, and this is the surface. You go up in the atmosphere, the troughs are going to kind of move on an axis. Excuse me, that line. On an axis like so, and you can see with our 500 millibar low is more over here, surface low is more here. It's kind of stacked on an angle. That's interesting to keep track of. And for Tuesday, that's our main setup, right? Monday is in existence and it is a setup to look at, which I'm going to do now, but it's not nearly as potent as the Tuesday setup, and that's part of the reason why I want to look at the Tuesday setup more. So for Illinois, that's my area of I want to look at. I want to look at the HRRR first, so I can kind of see what's happening. Really nothing too crazy. I think our main risk is just this little line of cells here, kind of outflow dominant, and a few of these could give us some marginally severe wind gusts, but otherwise nothing really severe out of that setup. The main threat will be again that later setup on Tuesday, which is shown here. So our main forcing for this is our surface low. It's not very well defined. You can just barely see the circulation here. Out of the south, kind of out of the east, it's very, very broad circulation. Right here is about where I would place this surface low, so it's kind of helping force these storms up a little bit more. You can definitely see it a little bit better later hours here. There's your surface low forming. Tightens up a little bit, but originally it starts out kind of weak, and then it tightens up as the day goes on. So right here, this is kind of our best look at it. That's our main time for thunderstorms. The rep mile should show me what I want to see as well. Not nearly as well defined as the HRRR. You can see a very clear difference here. Wrap barely even shows a surface low forming at all, so interesting to take note of considering the HRRR and the wrap are from the same model. All I'm going to do is take a sounding from out ahead of this line because you can see kind of a little bit of a convergence band right here, convergence of some sort, wind more out of the west and out of the south here, so they kind of converge along that line. Get our sounding again, just not very impressive. The only thing that these have going for them though is that they could build on top of each other. There is enough cape, and it's not very good for this whole setup, really any severe weather, but essentially what's going to happen and what is possible is that these storms will keep building up on each other because of this cape, and that's how you can get like one or two specific outflows, little line segments that'll move their way across and get you some severe wind gusts. But again, for us on Monday, not looking too crazy. Tuesday is our main threat. The NAM NST should show me also what I want to see. I also want to see if HRRR and the NAM are agreeing on a secondary surface low forming. So when I looked at the HRRR earlier to kind of do a preliminary look at this forecast, I believe there was a secondary surface low kind of forming ahead of the line. Let's see here. I think it's right here. Here's our secondary surface low. You can see our winds here. A little out of the east. Here's a little wind barb specifically right here. Here's our wind barb out of the east. That kind of shows us there. South, east, north, and messy here, but you can see that rotation kind of embedded along that warm front. You could have a possible secondary surface low forming right there, or the NAM does not even show this at all. Not even close to it, by the way. Completely different look from the NAM model. The HRRR is actually kind of an outlier in this case. But what we could be seeing that is this bubbly cumulus shown by the reflectivity here. This could end up being severe as long as it really blows up. That's what I'm looking out for. If you see the HRRR here, you have these few little segments. Again, probably not very supercellular in nature. Maybe these ones are. Unfortunately, I can't do soundings on this website, so I'm going to go on Pivotal Weather real quick. Pull that up while I'm waiting for this sounding here. Again, these are going to be our little discrete supercells, and our main threat is going to be back here in the Iowa, Missouri vicinity with that, along with the enhanced risk shown by the SPC right here. Fits very well with it. You can see where those storms form right around here, right in this line. Really very well placed by the SPC there. Here's our sounding, right where we want to see it. Things I like is the shear. So there definitely is some curvature right here. It's kind of almost looking like you could see the mothership supercells. So the way those looks, a lot of times you have very circular rotation in the lower levels, and we do kind of have that here. So we could see some kind of pancake looks. Recape isn't really what you want to see for tornadoes. Supercells are possible here, though. We could see some nice supercell structures if we wanted to, and good cape along this whole region here. Pretty fat cape, and you have 3,500 joules per kilogram of surface-based cape. However, the other capes aren't really very large at all. If we look at the mean layer cape, a lot smaller, I believe, based on what we're seeing here. 1,500 joules per kilogram of that. Sorry, 2,000. Effective inflow cape is a little bit different, but see our mean layer cape is a lot lower than our surface-based cape, so that's something to keep in mind. Many different kinds of cape. The surface-based cape is a lot fatter than the layer cape here. There. I'll go back to surface layer, just keep it there. I'll go back to the HRRR as well. Oh, perfect. We're right where I wanted to be. If I go back to the 18Z, let's check back here real quick. 21Z, excuse me. 21Z, right out where these storms are going to be, right around here. Take a sounding from that. This isn't the best sounding, actually. Let me look at the reflectivity so I can pinpoint exactly where I want to be. The zeros, it's the same model I'm looking at on the other screen. You can see here. So you can see interesting difference is the fact that this composite reflectivity in this one is 1 kilometer. So this is at the lower levels. Not a supercellular. These ones will be more supercellular and more bean shaped. I'm going to take two settings because I don't want to just focus on our Illinois option. This may be convectively induced. I'll try to take one a little bit further away, right here. See if that works out for us. It's impressive how differently they look every time. So on the southern side of that warm front, issues you get these really large temperature dew point spreads, right? What you want to do is find that sweet spot somewhere above that line. It's annoying to keep having to go back here, but 20Z you can see 21Z there's a northern option, and these are gonna be much better moisture and much drier air mass on the bottom. So you want to find somewhere, understand what the environment looks like. And this is a very good counting for what you want to see ahead of that warm front, which is interesting. The warm front is kind of a bad boundary in our case. Much better structure here. You can see there's our shear, very good curvature. You can even also see on here a little bit out of the east with this bottom wind barb. Our winds here, and they're a little bit out of the east. So that helps back our flow and helps for tornadoes. 85 joules per kilogram through Cape isn't a lot, but it's not bad. And the Cape here, or sorry, the capping here is 57, but that's not really too much, and that is breakable with the amount of forcing there will be. The other thing I want to look at is going to be our storms right here in Iowa. I'm still understanding pivotal weather, so please bear with me. I will look at our storms here in Iowa, and Missouri right as they're forming. Their dry line. Look at the HRRR over here, just so we can kind of combine them too. Our storms are going to be forming kind of along this dry line cold front boundary. For lack of a better term, I will still call it the cold front because there is a temperature gradient right here. Look at our sounding here. A very, very large cape again. And a little bit large of a temperature dew point spread, 83 degrees and 69 as our dew points. No capping here, and better for supercells. You can see lengthened photographs on highlighter mode accidentally. Lengthened photographs here. Yeah, you can see good inflow, good outflow. Not a bunch of shear, kind of unidirectional. So maybe more wind damage again on Tuesday as well. So you can see now a line segment come to play. Last thing I want to look at in this video, it's more brief. I'm going to go more in depth into this, I believe, tomorrow. I have more time and when there's just better models for it. Here's our CSU machine learning program from yesterday. This was this was this morning at 7 o'clock Central Time. You see different probabilities. This is kind of the same thing as looking at an SPC outlook. Now, this is a little bit ballsy in my opinion. I think the 30% probability for tornadoes on Tuesday is kind of absurd. I mean, maybe not too much, but definitely not 30%. It's a little bit high in my opinion. I think the yellow is more accurate. Maybe the red up here, but the yellow is probably the more accurate of all of these. But they do see a wind probability in this northern. Whoa, excuse me. You do see a wind probability here in the whole region of Illinois, kind of where I was looking. So we could end up with line segments, and the sounding we have here is very good for that, right? So you can see all our flow right here is just, it's all this way. Oh, that keeps happening. It's all this way. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm still getting to use my pen as well. All of our flow is going to be going kind of northeast, so any storms are all going to also be moving to the northeast and getting quicker. You can see we have speed shear here. So their photograph goes up, our air is just going to slowly increase in speed all the way to that 6-kilometer region. So that can really help propelling line segments onto it as well. So I'm not going to go too crazy into this video anymore. This is the end of it, but we will be making another video tomorrow. Again, I am hoping to be making more videos because I am graduated now and I have the free time for it. But if not, look at my community posts. I'm gonna try to update those more as well, just because community posts, they basically do the same thing as video, just a little bit less in depth. So hopefully that'll help us out as well. So video tomorrow on this as well. Thank you for watching. I am back again, and I will see you next time.